you got to do your research. You definitely got to do your research. So you can not just it's First Gen Wealth Building.
What is it?
First Gen Wealth Building.
Okay.
What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Zay. I'm back with another video. So today I want to talk about my options trading journey. I want to talk about some lessons that I've learned that I want to share with y'all. So if y'all want to get in the game, trading options, I'm gonna share with y'all a couple things that I've learned that hopefully will help you in your journey and make sure you make the right decision. So make sure you stick around. Of course, I need you guys to like, share, subscribe to my channel. Help me get to 1,000 subscribers. That's what I'm pushing for. I need to get there by the end of the year. So help your boy out. I appreciate it. Now, without further ado, guys, say hey to my lovely wife and my little boo in the baking in the oven. And we're gonna get right into the video, guys. Don't forget, in the description, I got a link for my Run It Up Stock Club. If you want to get in on options trading with me and join the family, get in there. You know, the link is down there. I got a special code. You can use it. It's Motivate. You get 25% off. So definitely do that. All right, guys. So the first lesson that I learned in options trading is that you have to have thick skin, because options trading is highly volatile. And what I mean by having thick skin, guys, I'm gonna just give y'all a couple of examples. So I've been in some trades where, and it's partly my fault, bad entries, and we're gonna get into that because that's another lesson learned. So, but anyway, I've gotten into some positions where I've ended up winning, but there were times where I would be down anywhere 40, 50, 60%, and you know, I would, you know, the stock will have a good day and I get a bounce back. Now within that day I might make like 120%, so at the end of the day to trade I only come out 30-40%, which is still great, don't get me wrong. However, you know, some people who don't got thick skin, you know, you down 50-60%, you know, you cutting losses. I mean, some people, their stop loss is so tight that you might not even get to ever being down 50-60%. But like I said, with options, they're so volatile that, you know, and it can happen that way. It can. So you got to have thick skin. If you're going to be trading options, you know, you definitely got to have some thick skin. And that gets me to number 2, right? So the second thing about trading options, and a lesson that I've learned, is that you have to know your strategy. You have to have a strategy. So that's lesson number 2, have a strategy. So there's so many different ways that you can trade option contracts. There are like professional option traders who do straddles and strangles and all these highly technical trades where there's a number of scenarios and they still can profit. Then you got people who are kind of just new to the game, doing, you know, naked puts or naked calls or cover calls, you know, things of that nature, simpler trades, right? Not only do you have these complex trades, you need to know the time frame that you want to do your trades, right? So a good friend of mine, shout out to my boy Tyshawn, he has a YouTube channel at TY_TLWE Ventures, shout out to him. But he says that, you know, he likes to do, you know, look at contracts 45 to 60 days out. And I agree. I try to find contracts, you know, anywhere from a month, 2 to 3 months out, because I want to give the market time to develop. You know, I'm not trying to be in and out and day trading. And the reason I say that is because the other strategy is you can day trade these things. Like literally, you could find a stock that you think is going to do maybe 10-15% in a day. You know, it gets a big green shoot and you can buy an option on that thing, and 10% can turn the option into 100% in a day. And some people do that. Like, that's some people's strategy. That's exactly what they do. And so I say that because the thing you need to learn or know before you get into options trading is, what is your strategy? Are you gonna be a swing trader? Are you gonna day trade? And if you don't know the difference, I'm gonna go ahead and link the video where I talk about different strategies up here. Check that out. But yeah, you need to know what your strategy is gonna be if you're gonna trade your options. So that's definitely the second thing, or the second lesson I learned. Definitely have a strategy. All right, guys, so the third lesson The third lesson is trust your analysis. Like, trust your analysis, right? It is good to watch CNBC, the news, stay up to date. But at the end of the day, you cannot go off what other people say, have told you, or whatever. You need to do your own research, and you need to trust your analysis. Like, prime example, I recently was in a trade for Fastly, and I got in on it around August 13th or 14th, and I was down about 30% at a time because it was trading in the 70s. But I had a feeling that I knew, it was going to be back on an uptrend. So I was patient, didn't cut my losses or anything like that. And at the time of doing this video, it's Friday. I think Fastly is now up to like $85. So I'm up, I was down 30%. I think I'm up about 20% right now. And my contract doesn't end until September 28th. So I got a lot more time, and I expect them to continue this uptrend. So, hopefully by the time I cash out on that contract, I should be anywhere between, 70, 80 to 100%. So that's gonna be a great return. Can't complain about that, So you got to trust your analysis. That's the whole thing, is that, when it was down, when it was 30%, people were saying Fastly was, the whole TikTok thing, the business wasn't going to do right. I was like, what? I know this is a great business. So I trusted my analysis, and that's what you have to do. If you do your research and a company's going to pop, or you think a company's going to pop, and you got good intel, trust your gut, man. Trust your analysis. So that's definitely the third lesson when it comes to option trading. Trust your analysis. So the fourth lesson that I learned is patience. Options trading, you definitely have to have patience because, and this is what I wanted to get back into. So this ties into bad entries. So with patience, I would, be watching the chart, see a setup. And because I'm anxious and I don't, I'm thinking it's going to take off on me, I'm going to miss it. I enter the trade too early and it goes down more. And then I have to hold, and I'm down 30%. And then when eventually it gets to the bottom and it does bounce, I'm basically recouping losses before I even get back to the positive. So if I be patient, then I might not have to be down 30% or have to hold during that drawback. So the lesson that I'm learning is just be patient, let the trade develop, wait. If you have a point, let it come to you. Be patient. And like I said, that ties into the whole bad entry thing. It's just, you don't want to get caught up with bad entries or get into a trade too early, because then you got to hold it in hopes of you getting your money back, or you got to cut your losses. And then, next thing you know, you cut your losses. And then as soon as you cut your losses, the trade bounces the way you originally thought and you miss out unless you get back in. So, yeah, so that's how I see it. Like, you got to be patient, guys. That's another thing with option trading, is patient pays. There's going to be days where it hurts, but if you're patient and you get that big pop, the percent you get is, it'd be worth it some days. I ain't even going front. So just be patient, guys. Be patient. All right. And so the fifth lesson, y'all, that I've learned that I want to pass on to you guys is, don't put all your eggs in one basket. And what I mean by that is, like, don't put all your money into one trade. Always keep some money on the sidelines, okay? So if you got a trade and you got 500 and the trade that you want to do costs you 500, you might want to find something cheaper that's like half that, so you keep some reserves on deck. You never want to put your whole thing on one trade. And then be careful with multiple trades, because if the market tanks on you, you don't want to be in a bunch of losing trades, right? So definitely risk management is definitely a big lesson that I learned. Taking on too many trades. I'll never forget that day, June 8th, when the market tanked 1,700 points. Oh my God. Oh my God. Thought I saw a ghost. Thought I saw a ghost. My account went from here to here, here to here. It was so crazy, y'all. So don't bet a whole bag, all on shebang, yo. Spread it out a little bit, take your time. Nickel and dime. It's cool hitting singles and doubles instead of going for a home run every time. So those are my lessons that I've learned so far that I want to impart on you guys as we embark on this option trading journey. So, of course, we are at the end of the video. And before we end the video, I just want to say I appreciate everybody for subscribing, liking my videos, comments. Definitely leave one below. If you guys want to see me doing any different type of videos, like more videos on my option trades, my investment portfolio, anything like that, drop it down in the comments, please. And you know, that's it, guys. That's the video for y'all. I hope y'all enjoyed that. Like I said, I love y'all. Thanks for all the support. Until next week, stay blessed. Peace out.